He reaches down into his pocket, pulls out a cigarette, brings it up to his mouth, grabs a lighter, lights that bad boy. We start chatting. He tells me, Vinnie, I am afraid to get into a fight. I don't think I can defend myself. And I said, well, why not get some training? Go take a self-defense course, martial arts, etc. And he basically talked about how he just doesn't think he would do good in that environment. The confrontation kind of made him afraid. He wasn't even really sure he could move his body in that way. He had kind of a thing with his feet that was interesting. Anyway, and he said he kind of limited his athleticism. So we continue just talking about things college kids talk about, and he finishes his cigarette. We're going to class, and I just stopped him for a minute. And I said, hey, real quick, do me a favor. It's kind of weird, but a moment ago you brought a cigarette up to your mouth and lit it. Do me a favor. Can you just do that movement, but don't grab the cigarette? All right. So he goes, oh, okay. And he brings his hand up. And I go, okay, now light that cigarette. And he brings that lighter up. And I thought, well, that's pretty interesting. And I said, so now you're in this position. Just hold that for me for a moment. When you see people square off for a fight, how do they normally hold their hands? And he looks down and he's like, oh, wow, right? I said, so that's pretty cool. And now reset yourself, just stand normal. And here's what I want you to do. I'm going to extend my arm at you. And as I do that, I'm going to go real slow. And what I want you to do is just bring that cigarette up to your mouth. So I come in and he goes, boom, brings the cigarette up. And I go, okay, cool. Now with the other hand, go ahead and light that lighter. But as you light that lighter, I want you just to get behind the elbow. Boom, right? So now he's got me. Basically, this is a circle block. And then I said, that cigarette hand, I want you to step forward and we'll just go ahead and do a little eye jab, right? So he comes in, boom. And, I moved out of the way. And that guy's name was Chuck Norris. It's stupid. Anyway, so the idea and the reason I'm telling this story, you might be wondering, what does this have to do with hypnosis? There's a lot of practitioners out there that will do something quite similar. And this fella actually was somebody that studied the nature of how people learn. And he said this is a very elegant way to teach. Because essentially what you're doing is you're taking something that individual understands. And now you're using it to tenuously connect to something else, but now they have a reference point that's very powerful. And so through this metaphor, they can relate to it very quickly and get going fast. And I thought that was a really interesting point. And so there's fabulous teachers out there that are doing this type of work. And they might take something like the parts work, right? And they might say, well, we isolate that part. And as we do that, we can establish an ideomotor signal. But maybe this particular client isn't receptive to ideomotor movement. So, okay, well, it doesn't matter, because what we can do if we understand sort of the principles behind that technique, what makes it work, what makes it valuable for that client, we can just go into hypnotic storytelling and take that part on a journey that way. And we can run it through the same type of experience. And I think this is just an absolutely phenomenal and brilliant way to work with clients. I want to contrast that with something that I think you're going to find to be incredibly valuable, but quite different. To do that, I need to highlight a couple things about this other approach to what we're talking about here. So before we go into the valuable thing, the distinction I want to make, there is a bit of a self-referencing logic to working in that way, because we're assuming the habit, we're assuming the principles of this technique or what that client needs. We don't really know, though. There is an element of guessing there. It doesn't mean you're not going to get results that way, but the reality is we're not really sure, and it could take a really long time to work that way. I don't do that. I do something else. And that kind of approach, though, reminds me sort of that age-old Christmas classic we all love. It's our favorite game, where one of the light bulbs goes out on the tree and you got to grab the replacement bulb and go one by one, and check every single bulb and see which one went out so you can replace that. And then finally the whole tree lights up. It's like we're just guessing bulbs and checking, guessing and checking. And I think the good thing about this is we're being quite empirical. We're getting feedback. Client feedback's absolutely fundamental to our work. Now, if we want to move beyond that, so I think this is just a reference frame. So if we're moving from guessing, what I would rather do, and the thing that I think is unique and quite different, is instead of guessing, we're giving the client's unconscious mind an opportunity to just find that bulb itself. Our inputs are quite minimal. Their mind can create the solution it needs. It knows more about the problem that we do. It knows more about that person's personality that we do. It knows more about that person's experience than we do. So instead of guessing that we need to isolate that as a part and, find a way to work with that, and there's that self-referencing logic that's built into the system, it makes sense because it's predicated on the system. We just allow a client referencing type of logic, right? They're going to sort this out. Our job is to create a space. This is what I'm teaching folks to do, and it's very fast. Once you get good at this stuff, it's so fast. And it literally, because we're doing the work in such a way that our involvement is minimal, it's just more opportunity for them to sort through more things. And then we're not hung up on limitations that we have. You're not feeling pressure because, okay, I tried this. You're going through the Christmas lights. I tried this one. It's not this one. I don't know. I'm running out of things. Now I need to go take another course, get another technique. Now we understand the principles of change themselves. So this is moving beyond lighting the cigarette, or bringing the cigarette to the mouth and lighting it. We're moving to something different, quite different. It's more understanding the principles of movement themselves, understand the principles of how the body operates. And so that might be a bit vague, but when we think about change is, you change so often, you're not even aware that you're doing it. That's how good and skilled you are at change. Even though you might feel stuck in one area, there's an aging process going on. Your body's changing that way. You're maturing. You're getting new insights, new understandings. You're gaining experience. You're developing different parts of your personality. You're becoming wiser. These are things that just happen. So since we know that human beings have this amazing capacity to change without even really trying, imagine what would happen if we learned to harness that itself. No longer do techniques really matter. Exploration matters. Space matters. Allowing that person in front of you to do this thing that they just do organically. So this is a very natural way, a naturally occurring way to work with folks. My name is Vinnie Bergantz. That's what I teach people. And if you want to learn more, go to vincentbergantz.com. Check out my training. I can't wait to see you there. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.